How can we create cute alternatives to plastic jewelry? Keep listening to hear from a bioplastic developer and jewelry brand founder on her work, inspirations, and aspirations. In this episode, we're talking about building an Earth-first future with style. Mecca McDonald is here today with me, Edie, for this episode of Iris FM. Mecca is a multi-hyphenate creative, the owner and founder of Mo.Na Gems, and founder of Tato Labs. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you join me today. Just to start, I introduced you a little bit, but could you tell us a bit more about yourself, the brands you are founding, the filmmaking, the set design, the photography, the graphic design, kind of everything?
Yeah, so I'm a multi-hyphenate creative person, and I basically founded a biomaterial company which runs under Tato Labs and Mo.Na Gems. And then I also have a production company which runs under Pedestal. And essentially through Tato Labs slash Mo.Na Gems, I create a biomaterial which acts like a plastic alternative. It looks like plastic, feels like plastic, it's durable like plastic, except when you throw it away, it actually breaks down in the dirt in 3 weeks. It's made from starch, from potatoes, which is super exciting. And it's just pretty. I wanted to create a sustainable alternative that was actually attractive. I think a lot of sustainable alternatives are just ugly. And I think my design eye just comes from the fact that I'm a visual artist in general, and I love photography. I've been doing photography since I was 16, and my photography skills are kind of what led me into filmmaking. And I went to Johns Hopkins University in 2017, and I graduated in 2021. And that's where I started both the biomaterial endeavors and also my production company. My production company I co-founded with my now fiance, Celeste O'Connor, but when we were seniors in college, we were just friends. And yeah, we started a production company because she's also a professional actress, and she'd go on these movie sets and just be like, these movies are so boring. Like, these white men get like millions of dollars to make like the same old suburban propaganda. And she's like, every time I come back to school or like we work on a creative project at school, it's really fun. It's different. I've never seen anything like it before. And she was like, we should make movies someday. And that's kind of what inspired our production company. And, we started that in 2021, and, we developed a visual style. And then through that, we were like, oh, let's make short films that look like this. And so, um, I might potentially be making my first feature film this year, which is crazy.
That sounds awesome. Do you have any like preview hints that you could give, or is it like top secret?
No, it's like really early stages right now. Hopefully everything goes well. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I've made a couple of shorts. I'm working on a short this year too in May. It's about AI and about, you know, the choice that we have as people to kind of remove the control that tech companies have over us if we become more aware and intentional. So I like a lot of sci-fi stuff and in terms of like filmmaking and yeah, I don't know. I'm just a visual artist through and through. So that's kind of a little bit about me.
I think I remember seeing the like Ice Cube jewelry sets, and those are so captivating to me. You made them they look so realistic. And they're very like they're just the right kind of kitschy that they're like my favorite style to see and wear.
Totally.
Um, and I wanted to know a little bit like, was it what led you into, like biomaterial and like development? Was it, you mentioned that it was some of the like photography that led to filmmaking, but like what led to both directions?
Um, for biomaterials, I literally was just like, I hate plastic. And I was like, I feel like I could do something about it. That's honestly the truest answer. It was like, It was a pandemic. I was bored. I was scrolling on TikTok, and it was just like almost every single video I would see on my algorithm on my feed was like, I just made this resin thing at home, or just I just made this thing out of plastic at home. And I was like, this is so dumb. So I was like, why are people making things from plastic in their houses? Like that's so toxic. Um, and so I was like, well, what if I could do something about it? That literally was it. I was just like, I feel like I could do something about it. Because we live in a world that's like dominated by like white people's imaginations and like a lot of people don't have, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the critical thinking skills to interrogate the reality that we interact with. And it's like more of us should be asking questions. It's like how the world is not how the world has to be, right? Like the world just is because someone said it was, and that was it. But like, through creativity and imagination, like we can do so much, like we can literally change the world. So yeah, I was just like, I feel like I could make a plastic alternative that would work. And I did it. Obviously it took a lot of research and like effort. And it's also like I'm really passionate about sustainability, obviously. Like I'm Jamaican. And so I kind of just grew up like in nature. Like I grew up in Florida, but also like going back and forth between Jamaica and Florida. And like, you know, you just go there, it's just like magnificent, like one, like just lush, like trees, just like big trees, like giant fruit trees. My mom was always like bringing me all these different kinds of fruits and stuff to eat. And so that's just kind of how I grew up, just like having some sort of relationship to nature. And my dad would always be pulling over on the side of the road, like, oh, this is this plant, like we have to drink it and make tea. Like he would literally stop on the side of the road, pick off some plant, and then be like, okay, now we're gonna drink this. So like that's just how I grew up, right? Is like having family that was so oriented to nature and interacting with it in a meaningful way. To the point that, whatever, I went to Hopkins and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, why don't we have more materials that are natural, like on an industrial scale, right? I mean, obviously capitalism, white supremacy, blah, blah. But like, whatever, if we like overlook those things and we just like stretch a little bit, like maybe we can use our imaginations to solve some of these structural issues. And also, I just see it as an act of resistance. I see it as an act of revolution. I see it, even if my vision isn't able to be um, fully executed in my lifetime, I'm at least like laying the seeds for the next generation to continue my work. You know what I mean? So it's like, we got to give the children a fighting chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I really appreciate like how it really does show that there is an alternative path to this. Even like, for example, the earrings I'm wearing right now, I don't think you can see them, but like the earrings I'm wearing right now are dried incense cedar twigs, sprigs, whichever word you'd like to use. But so often, this kind of jewelry, including this pair and like a necklace I have, they're coated in resin. So it's like such an interesting tension where there's this visual connection to nature, right? Like these are dried botanicals, but then it's like, but it's also plastic. And that is almost the antithesis of nature in a lot of ways. And trying to figure out how you can balance the two in a way that skews as heavily as possible towards nature um, is something that you can see within, Mo.Na Gems, which is really nice. Um, and something that I saw on your website was that you position yourself and your work as like the intersection of art, science, and social change. And I was curious about how you balance those three areas in your work and your personal life.
I feel like under white systems, things are viewed through a lens of separation. That is obviously how colonialism has operated and how it's been able to scale beyond whatever Christopher Columbus imagined. But I think, if you look at nature, everything is connected, nothing is separate. And I think that's kind of those are the principles through which I view my work and everything that I make. I don't think science and art are separate. I think science is inherently creative, and I think art is inherently scientific. Like they both share processes, there's a lot of overlap. And I think that both of those things, both science and art, are what cause social change. Like artists create culture. You know what I'm saying? Like there would be no culture without artists, without creative people. Science,
And
I mean,
especially artists of color, and especially Black artists are creating
yes.
this culture.
Black, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, like Black people, what we've done to music, what we've done to fashion, what we've done to cuisine around the world, like tangent, but it's like paella. I'm like, have you ever had paella? Do you know what that
I
is?
I remember the name, but I don't
It's
think
like
I.
this Spanish, like it's like Spanish rice that has like
Wait,
shrimp,
yes.
tomatoes. Right. So if you go to Ghana or Nigeria, that's basically jollof rice. Like it's literally
Those are great.
jollof rice, gentrified jollof rice, because it's like, even like bachata and like a lot of like Latin music, that was created by Black people. Like that was created by enslaved people. Like um mariachi music, like the composers of a lot of those genres were Black people. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember I just like learned that randomly by listening to the radio. I was like, what? A Black person made like that type of music? I didn't know. But you
Mhm.
wouldn't know, right? Because oftentimes Black people are erased from history. Um, but anyways, I could go on and on and on about that. But yeah,
Yeah, I could
so
always talk about the music.
artists artists create culture. And then again, science, technology has a way of impacting culture and bringing people together. Whether that's like extending our lives because of medical advancement, whether that's the internet changing the way we connect and talk to each other. So both of those things share a relationship, and both of those things impact how we socialize and impact society. So those are kind of the principles through which, I operate and through which my work, you know, unfold. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there is so much connection in the Serviceberry by like Robin Wall Kimmerer. That's something that she talks about. And I think a lot about like mycelium, which, is connecting everything in nature and is like this huge network that is almost unfathomable. Um, and then it's so interesting to see humans try to kind of act as if there's isolation when nothing is isolated, everything is within a context. Which
Exactly.
brings me to my next question, which is that sometimes I see people mostly online talking about how like businesses are meant to be apolitical or like whatever else. And I wanted to ask what you would say about the importance of centering ethical work in your business. We've talked about it a bit, but kind of like a direct response to that statement.
I think a lot of people lack self-awareness. I think under white systems and white ideology, like the goal of any business is just to make money. Like it's very like self-oriented, it's very like extractive. And I think the more people who are not white who've like done the internal work to unlearn whiteness and unlearn white systems, I think the more we're able to enter these spaces with intention, the more we can, you know, create businesses and create models that work for us and work for the world that we're trying to live in. You know what I mean? Like, I think everything's inherently political, especially if you're not white. Like, I mean, you can view the world from that lens of nothing, every business is apolitical, but like by not choosing a side, you're still choosing a side, right? Especially under a white system, especially living in America where things are binary. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we're taught yes, no, boy, girl, man, woman, left, right. Like in America, everything is binary. So like to say business, especially in America, especially under a country that was founded off of slavery businesses are apolitical, that's a contradiction, right? Because like, some of the legacy businesses only exist because they got free labor, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know, like, it's like we see these 100, 400-year-old businesses. It's like, oh, I wonder how you're able to get such a head start. Like, so how can you be apolitical when you've, profited off of free labor of indigenous people around the world, exploited Black people?
Mhm.
Like, so I think that's a privileged mindset. And that's a mindset that that's just someone who maybe is just not self-aware or refuses to like do any internal work, or maybe they don't see how things are connected because they have a lot of privilege.
Yeah, and not to mention the amount of companies that I see viewed as like kind of or like just purely like apolitical. And it's like, okay, but where did that lobby money go? Because it definitely was to a politician.
Right.
Like there's lobbying money, there's so many different ways in which businesses can make political statements that aren't just words. And I think sometimes those can be overlooked. I was also going to ask you if you could get a little bit into the process of developing your bioplastic, kind of just like how you ended up with potatoes and how those ended up being like the best option.
Yeah. I think not. I'm kind of a spiritual person. And honestly, I picked potatoes because it felt right. Like there is like the like literal, like scientific, like logical explanation of why potatoes are a good solution, but it was also just a vibe. Like I was literally like, mm, I'm feeling potatoes. And that's kind of where I started my research. I tried corn at first, but then I didn't really like it. And then I was like, potatoes just feel right. So that's kind of why I picked potatoes. And then, like through like working backwards and doing a lot of research, potatoes are a good option for what I'm doing. But it was really just mostly my intuition that led me to potatoes.
And then I also wanted to ask what has been your favorite piece of jewelry to create so far?
Oh my God, that's such a really good question. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
So I'm actually working on a new collection that's supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out last month, but you can't rush greatness, is what I'm telling myself. Um, Let me pull it up. So basically, in this collection, it's called the Blueprint because we're going back to the basics. And um, I'm basically drawing inspiration from like previous collections I've done and also kind of like the future in a way. Um, and so I think these are, and I will say that I feel like I designed these with more thought and intention than I have any other collection. So I'm really proud of it because I put more emotion into it than ever before. Um, okay, cool. Now I can share my screen. So share, there we go. So, okay. So I think some of these are my favorite. Um, so in
Mm.
this collection, I'm doing four different colors. And, it's called a blueprint because like Mother Nature is a blueprint and Black people are the blueprint. And also my own culture is a blueprint. So I'm drawing inspiration from a lot of different things. Like the vibrant colors come from the fact that I'm Jamaican. And if you go to Jamaica, you'll see the island is super colorful from the food that we eat to the fruits that we eat. Even the ocean is just like the bluest blue. Like the water is so blue in Jamaica. I thought that's what water looked like. And then, you go to like beaches and stuff in America and you're like, why does it look like that? But yeah, so, like this, you could say this color reminds you of like mangoes, for example, or like ackee, the national fruit of Jamaica. And, I'm trying out a necklace. I've never really done a necklace like this before, but I'm really excited about it. I wanted to have more fun with this collection too. I think through the journey of building a business, I think along the way I lost my sense of whimsy. So I'm circling back and I'm bringing whimsy back into the equation. I'm trying to find like a picture where you can see all of them. Okay, yeah, this one's like a good like so you can see we
Hmm.
have like we have necklaces, we have like these star-shaped earrings, because why not? This one actually is one of my favorite designs because it's inspired. This is the first design that I've ever done that's inspired by something I drew. Um, and I draw a lot. I don't really share my drawings publicly anywhere, but a lot of my drawings are filled with like line work and circles. I love circles for some reason. So I don't really know what it means yet. But it's just what I like to draw for now. So yeah, and it's just like fun and it like I really like these drawings because it's so simple, but like it carries a lot of emotion and it's also very pretty to me. So I would
Yeah,
say
all of this
this,
is beautiful.
thank you. I will say this one is one of my favorite design, and I'm honestly really proud of all of them because I think at the end of the day, when I show them to people, people are like, "What? This is made out of potatoes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." So that part is like super fun to me, is that it's like I feel like Mona to me speaks to the power of the human mind and like imagination. And I'm like, guys, like as human beings, we're all inherently so deeply creative and like, obviously capitalism sucks and like we have to like work jobs and blah blah, blah. But like even this idea, Mona came to me during a time where we were all forced to take a pause it was during the pandemic that I got this idea. And I'm like, wow, like imagine if like life was structured differently and intentional pauses were built into culture, right? Like we all take a month off or something. Like what would we create? Like how do we impact the world? So I will say like this collection has been like definitely one of my favorites so far. And I don't know, just I feel like it to me this feels like I've grown a lot as an artist, as a creative person, because it's really a journey and like being a creative person is honestly like super embarrassing. But I'm trying my best to like keep on pushing and keep, you know, trying to grow creatively and stay inspired. But it's definitely not easy, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, I definitely get it. And also, like, for context, I have a biology undergraduate degree, so like I really understand the like going in both directions of it all.
Yeah, it's
And
challenging.
it's such a wild experience. Yeah, the last question I had, it's a little bit more vague, but I'm really curious to see what you're foreseeing for your future, not just your brands, but like you as a person and you as a creative.
Oh my God, that's a really hard question. That's a really hard question. I mean, thinking about the future gives me a lot of anxiety, but if limits didn't exist and like everything worked out perfectly the way I wanted it to, because that's just what I want to happen. For me as an artist, I really just want to have impact. I really want to inspire people and in whatever shape or form that is, like I just want people to engage with the world critically. I think a lot of us are sleepwalking, and I think a lot of us don't really realize like how much impact we can have on the world. So I think through my work, I want to inspire people to kind of just like, think more deeply and intentionally about the time that they have here and how they can use that time to inspire others, to create and project feelings. I think also with through my material, I would love to partner with really big brands. Like, I want Mona to be working with like Glossier, for example, or Starface, and like, like they incorporate the material into some part of their product or packaging. Like that's like a huge dream and goal of mine. Um, yeah, and then in terms of filmmaking, obviously I want to make movies. I want to be like Ryan Coogler. He's so cool. The impact that he's had creatively is profound and super duper inspiring. And I think, yeah, I keep using the word impact and inspire, but that's essentially what I want to do through my work. It's just like kind of shift collective imagination for what we think is possible for ourselves and the world. Um, just through like my own creativity. So, yeah, I guess in a simple sentence, what I imagine for myself through my work is just to inspire people to shift their imaginations to dream bigger than what's currently present and to work with really cool brands and companies and incorporate my material into their products and make sick ass movies and stuff.
It definitely feels like you're on the right path for that. Um,
I hope
but
so.
yeah, with that, that was my last question. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was such a great look into kind of a bit of the behind the scenes of your work.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was such a great interview. I really enjoyed all of your questions.
This episode of Iris FM was hosted by Edie Martinez and edited by Leo Martinez, who also improvised the intro and outro of this episode.